Hi, my name's Leonie Bolt, and I went from high school troublemaker and long-time backpacker to accidental entrepreneur. After 15 years working as a professional photographer and running my own studio, I grew into becoming a personal empowerment and business mentor to help other women to follow their passions and find their purpose too. I've learned to pave my own way through life, and now I empower others to do the same, to break through their limiting beliefs and empower them to shine. Welcome to the Empowered to Shine podcast, where we dive deep into creating a life by your own design. Hello and welcome back to the Empowered to Shine podcast. My name's Leonie Bolt and I'm your host. Today we have a special guest, Melanie Herschorn from VIP Digital Content. Now, Melanie helps women in service-based businesses to create digital content that speaks directly to their ideal client, and she helps them to elevate their brand and shine online. So welcome, Melanie.
Thank you so much for having me. I have a guest on my lap too, so I apologize for that.
Right, furry friends are always welcome.
he just couldn't stay away. When you said empowered to shine, he said, I have to be there.
I have to be there. Awesome. I love that. So, Melanie, tell us a little bit about you and how you came to create VIP digital content.
I would love to. Thank you, Leonie. And thank you so much for having me here. This is so exciting. So the way that VIP digital content came to be was, trial and error a little bit. And, I thought that my career was going to be one thing, and then it ended up being something kind of completely different. So I was, that's always how it goes. I mean, you're backpacking across the world, and here you are, an entrepreneur, supporting women. And although I wasn't backpacking, I was a journalist, and I was on the radio, and I even planned a pregnancy so that it would be in a non-election year, so that I wouldn't disrupt the newsroom, right? Yeah.
I totally understand that, because in a previous life, I was doing lots and lots of weddings as a photographer, and I had to plan my pregnancies around wedding season.
Exactly. So I'll bet the difference is, though, that when wedding season came, it worked out for you. For me, I was 5 months pregnant and I got laid off.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, right? As I say, woman plans, God laughs. So all of a sudden I found myself pregnant, unemployed, and I felt like I had no raison d'etre. Like I had nothing. I had no reason for being like, what am I? Who am I? Right? So I really had to figure it out. And what I came up with is, hey, I want to design breastfeeding clothing.
Yeah.
Right. So that's
because really there's nothing out there that's kind of beautiful and sexy. It's like very frumpy and mumsy.
It was. And so I decided that my mission was going to be to support new moms who wanted to have, easy access in comfortable, fashionable clothes. And so for 7 years, that's what I did. I sold my clothes on, you've probably heard of Nordstrom.com. I know they ship internationally. And so I sold my clothes there for a few years. And then something else happened. I hired somebody to help me with my social media and my email marketing. And it was bad. It ended up being a very, basically an emotionally abusive situation where I went from loving my business to all of a sudden like being so miserable and feeling like I was a centimeter tall that I couldn't even open the door to my office. And I thought,
disempowering.
Oh gosh. I mean, that's basically, the opposite of being empowered to shine. I was disempowered to dull. So I didn't know what to do. I thought, well, what am I supposed to do now? I'm going to close this business and what am I going to do? And I thought, well, what's the one thing that I loved so much about my business was the marketing piece. And with my background in PR and journalism and then being an entrepreneur myself, I thought, well, I could take everything that I've learned during this emotionally abusive relationship that I had and actually use it for good. So that's what I do. So I empower women every single day with their content marketing. And not only am I helping them create content that is going to speak to their ideal client, but I also support them along the way. And I'm their cheerleader. And I'm also, I tell it like it is. So I like to say that I'm the barometer of boring. So if something is boring or confusing, I'm definitely the barometer of confusing, which is even more important, really, because you never want to confuse your ideal client. I will say, okay, I'm confused. Let's fix it.
Fantastic. And that's such a very, very important piece of the puzzle, and something that a lot of women struggle with, particularly if it comes to branding themselves and putting themselves out there and being the face of their business. I know a lot of people struggle with imposter syndrome, and particularly women think they're coming from this place of ego, and really it's just about putting themselves out there so that people can see what they do. And it's great to have someone like you in their corner to help them hone their messaging and really speak to their ideal client.
Thank you. I mean, and what you say, it's true about imposter syndrome. I mean, oftentimes when I'm about to send an email, just not even a mass email, just an email in general, I'll say, okay, do I have the word just in there? Do I have the word sorry in there? How would a man write this email? And I start deleting words and then I press send and I kind of hold my breath, because isn't it nice to be able to feel empowered enough to just speak in a way that you're not worried about what everybody's going to think, or maybe that you're an imposter?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I help a lot of my clients with that exact same thing as well.
Sure you do.
And I just had somebody text me through something, and she said, what do you think of this? And I said, that needs to be more direct. You need to say, I am doing this, not I want to do this,
I've been reading a lot of emails that say, I am wanting to do this. And I'm like, well, first of all, who talks like that? And second of all, just do it.
Yeah, just put it out into the universe, tell everyone you're doing it, and then figure it out.
Exactly. That's why I love what you do, because you're really empowering us women to stand in our power and say, okay, grab life and take a stand.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's one piece of advice that you wish you had when you were first starting out in your own business? Probably the first one.
The first one? Oh, gosh. I would say, the first thing is to know your numbers.
Yeah.
As a creative person, I like to run in the opposite direction from numbers.
Oh, I hear you.
Not that I didn't like math. I liked math class. That was fine. But when it comes to knowing your numbers, and by numbers, I mean, who's opening your emails? How much money are you making this month? What are your margins, whether it's a product or a service? You have to know that stuff, and don't be judgmental about it. You just need to know it with an open heart. So that's what I wish somebody had said to me, because I don't think anybody did.
Yeah. And like any creative person, the analytical, strategic stuff is what we shy away from. We're like, no, we'll just stick with this pretty stuff and hope that everyone likes it enough to spend money on it without actually doing the numbers. But it's really important to do the numbers so you can see what's broken and what needs a bit of love. Because if you're putting content out there and no one's actually engaging with it, you go, okay, well, obviously it's not speaking their language, or there's some sort of disconnect between what I'm trying to say and what I'm actually putting out there.
Right. But what's neat though, so when I talk metrics and those numbers, I don't even mean content itself. I just mean all the numbers. But I love what you said there. You do need to know who's looking at your stuff. But I'm able to look at it just sort of from a a creative lens, I guess, and say, oh, this is working, that's not working. But again, it's never judgmental. And that's, I feel like so often we avoid things because we'll get mad at ourselves and be like, well, why did it not work? And I don't want to change it, but it's okay to make tweaks. And you should expect to have to make tweaks because even something that works isn't always going to work, especially in marketing.
Oh, absolutely. What's working yesterday doesn't necessarily work today, especially in the world of, Facebook and algorithms and all of that sort of stuff.
Exactly. You cannot rest on your laurels. You really have to be proactive. But what's really cool is when you have a content plan. And when I say plan, I mean, you know what your content buckets are. You know what you want to talk about. If you're doing it over and over again, that piece isn't going to change. Maybe how you disseminate it will, but the overall message is going to be the same message over and over again until you're so bored of it, you don't want to say it anymore. That's when people start hiring you.
Yeah. Because even if you think everybody's watching all of the time, they're not. They're not opening every email. They're not seeing everything that you're posting online. It's that same message over and over that gets stuck in your head like a jingle, right? That's why they work.
They really do work. I mean, I watch with my kids. My kids are little and, they're watching, not that little, 7 and 9, and they're watching on YouTube. And all of a sudden they'll be like, oh, I saw that commercial. They're like, oh boy, they're getting it.
Yeah, my kids get so sucked into the commercials. Like we'll have the TV on while, we're eating dinner or something, and I have to turn it off because as soon as the commercials come on, they just get sucked right in. And I'm like, it's a commercial about tents. Like, do you really need to see it?
That's fantastic. But that just means the advertisers are doing a good job.
Yeah.
And also, our kids didn't grow up having to watch the commercials.
No, that's the thing, right? It's a novelty now to see the commercials.
It's an option.
They just don't understand the pain of, having to sit through all the commercials.
Oh, for goodness sake. I remember on Saturdays when there was nothing on television at all. And I grew up in Canada. And so we would get some American TV and we would get PBS, the public station. And I don't know if you ever watched this show, the Lawrence Welk show.
No, I don't think I had it.
It was reruns back in the 80s.
Okay.
So, and it was these men and women singing and bubbles. And I mean, the crap that I sat through watching because there was nothing else on.
Yeah, and still mesmerized, right?
Totally.
Oh, so Melanie, what's one thing about you that not many people do know about you?
Okay. So I actually used to dance on a TV show in Canada.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah. Well, if anybody ever watched television in Canada in the late 90s, it's called Electric Circus. And it was kind of similar to American Bandstand, but it was more people dancing on podiums. That was kind of me,
Yeah, cool.
Club dancing back in the day. I would still do it now, but my kids would tell me to stop dancing. Yeah,
I get that too. Don't worry.
Mom, you're too old to club.
Yeah. Oh no, we usually have Friday night dance-offs in our kitchen. So that's a lot of fun.
That's amazing. And how old did you say your kids are?
Mine are exactly the same as yours, 7 and 9.
Fantastic. Yes.
Yeah.
Good ages for dance parties.
Exactly. Yeah. And who is somebody that you admire, somebody that you look up to?
Well, it's funny that I there are of course a lot of celebrities and stuff, but the person that I really admire and I look up to is my grandma. Right. She's 39 plus a little more. All right, she's not going to listen to this. She's 96 and a half.
Yeah.
And
she's got a good innings. Yeah.
She listens to the Google though, and she watches the YouTube. So she might find this. But anyway, she is just this powerhouse woman. And she actually graduated from college She had to leave high school when she was that age to work and help out her family. Then she got married and had children, and then she went to college. She took one class a year.
Wow.
And she graduated from, I guess it was university technically. She graduated from university the same year that my mom did, her firstborn.
Wow.
And she did it. And then she went to work at a magazine that does not exist anymore. And she was their, I guess, administrative person. And it was the most toxic environment. And she stuck it out for 15 years.
Wow.
She has lived life and done things with no apologies. And that is what I love about her.
Oh, yes. Absolutely. And to think, it took her all those years to get an administration job. That's incredible. The things that she's done to allow you to be able to live the life that you live right now.
Absolutely.
That's incredible.
Thank you. Absolutely.
So let's jump back into a little bit what you do. How do you help your clients deconstruct what they're going to create, how they're going to create their content?
Ooh, I love this question. Yay. Okay. So first thing we need to do is figure out if the messaging is making sense.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times, you might hire somebody to be posting on your behalf and everything is just, it's kind of saying what you would say, but it's speaking to nobody. And that if you're trying to talk to everybody, you end up talking to nobody at all.
Exactly.
So we first start off with the messaging. We want to be 100% clear. Who is your ideal client? Who are you trying to reach? What is their biggest struggle? And how do you solve that problem? What is your unique way of providing a solution? And then we look at all their content ideas, their content buckets. So I like to do 4. Some people do 6. Some people do whatever. I like 4. I don't know why. I guess legs of a table. And everything, we just fit everything into those 4 content topics. And then I, as a journalist, I sit there and I ask a million questions. I actually did this earlier today, and we started out with 0. And by the end, we had about 60 different content topic ideas for my client to go rinse and repeat forever.
Excellent. Yeah, fantastic. So generally, what do the 4 content buckets look like?
They're different for everybody.
Yeah.
So, maybe you're a health and wellness. So maybe health, nutrition, balance. But I mean, for me, my content buckets are mindset, email marketing, social media marketing, and content creation. So it really depends on you and your business, because that's the thing. Like, content is not one size fits all.
Yeah.
It's not. I mean, I was looking through a client's LinkedIn the other day, and she had hired somebody to just post for her. And I was reading to her. I'm reading it out loud. We're sharing the Zoom screen, the whole thing. And I'm saying to her, I'm reading this. I'm going, does this resonate with you? She's like, no.
Yeah.
I said, so you're expecting it to resonate with anyone else? I said, this doesn't sound like you. She said, you're right.
Yeah. And it's so true. Like, I have someone that helps me with my content as well, but I generally, read it first, and most of the times it's pretty much there. But a lot of times I'll be like, nah, I'm taking out that whole sentence or that whole paragraph and I'm rewriting that in the way I would say it, because otherwise, especially people that do know you, they go, that's not real. There's something wrong there. That's not really sitting right. I can't really put my finger on it, but yeah, it's not genuine. It's not authentic.
No, it's generic is what it is. Absolutely. Yeah. And, not that I'm advocating that everybody do their own content all the time. I mean, that's not possible. You have your zone of genius, right? You need to stick to your lane. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I can also work with somebody's copywriter to make sure that the content topics are what they want it to be. And then just like you, they look it over and they say, okay, yes, this works for me.
Yes. Awesome. I love that. Fantastic. So What have you got that can help people that are just getting to know you, help them to with their own content?
What have I got? Okay.
What have you got?
You mean like a gift or something like that for people?
Yeah.
What?
Some way, somewhere where people can find you and
All right. Yeah.
get a
So I
little
have
bit of your inside knowledge.
Okay, so I mean, I like to be everywhere if I can because I love to provide that information to help people with their content. I know content about content that's a little bit meta, but I do have a really fun quiz that you can take. It's free, and it is called the Winning Content Quiz, and you can find out if your content is helping you get clients, which is
Love
ideally
it.
what we want, right? And it's just at mycontentquiz.com.
Easy. Awesome.
Easy peasy. And I'm on Instagram too, and of course Facebook, and of course LinkedIn, but definitely take the quiz because it'll give you some insights into what you are doing and maybe where you could improve, or maybe where you're just acing everything and you're awesome and you should go drink a glass of champagne to celebrate.
Awesome. I love that. Fantastic. So if you need any of the links, we're going to put them in the show notes, leoniebolt.com/podcasts. Just have a look for the episode and we'll have all the links in there so that you can easily find the quiz and find out more about where you can find Melanie if you need to, pick her brain a little bit more. So do you have any final words of wisdom for our audience today?
Final words of wisdom. Yes. Okay. So I like to remind you, dear listener and viewer, that you are uniquely qualified to do what you do. And you bring something very special to this world. And the way to let everybody know about it is through your content. So please don't shy away from being a little bit personal, telling your story, because that is what makes you you and amazing.
Absolutely. Love it. Thank you so much, Melanie, for sharing with us today. And thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you so much. This has been amazing.
Thank you for listening to the Empowered to Shine podcast. My name's Leonie Bolt, and I'm glad that you were able to join us today. I hope you got some serious inspiration from today's episode. If you'd like to find more episodes, go to leoniebolt.com/podcasts or start subscribing on your favorite podcast streaming channel. I look forward to seeing you again soon.